Welcome to Board Ghost, a story broadcast with games as the engine.
If living is a highway, then heaven is a bus stop. Been waiting for a minute there, or has it been forever? 'Cause dying don't agree with me, no. Dying don't agree with me, no. All you board ghosts, come with me, we're going home.
We believe you're out there, hungry for stories for shared experience. We can't see you, can't hear you, and yet we will play for you. This night's offering is Fiasco. Our players tonight are me, John Holt.
Me, Ken Breeze.
And me, Jocko Farino.
Fiasco is a GM-less game. There's no game master. You let the rule set drive you. You have a play set that sort of gives you options. The Mana Hotel is a play set by Dan Puckett. So a little background, the reading from the sort of Mana Hotel brief. The Mana Hotel, an oasis for weary travelers. The Mana Hotel is 3 miles north of Mana, Kansas, population 1,200. The Mana Hotel is a 20-room motor lodge with its own in-ground swimming pool, now unused. The hotel burned down when it was rebuilt in the 50s. Wood paneling and window air conditioning units were installed in the 70s, and it looks like that's the last maintenance anyone did to the place. Business has been slow ever since they moved the interstate, so 10 of the rooms are closed all the time now. The other 10 rooms are rented and cleaned by a manager who lives on the premises. That's backstory that may or may not, we may not play like that, but that's the flavor of this play set. So.
I'm really excited about this playset because growing up, we spent a lot of family vacations in sort of the Pennsylvania mountains.
These motor lodges.
Staying in these little lodges where, it smells like stale cigarette smoke and the TV is busted, but the ice machine works, or vice versa.
The ice machine smells like cigarette.
Yeah, exactly. There are cigarettes in the ice cubes. All
right, so Jocko, why don't you go ahead and roll our pool of dice, and then we'll start building relationships from there.
All right.
If you want to learn more about how we generated our grid or how this game works, I definitely recommend checking out our Fiasco primer. Between me and Ken, we are family, identical twins. Between me and Jocko, he is the spiritual advisor to my truth seeker in a friendship relationship. And between Ken and Jocko, there's a crime relationship where they both spent 3 years together in a Lansing correctional facility in Kansas. Yep. Our need was to get the truth about the cover-up in Mana. Our object was a photo of the 1931 All-Asian Mana High School football team. And our location within the mix was the tornado shelter out back of the hotel.
All right, well, we've generated our grid. Now we can think about our characters and who they are. I've seen like my character will be the node that I maybe introduced the two of you. We did time together, and you and I are related. We're
identical twins.
Identical twins. Are we brothers?
Yeah, we'll be brothers.
So we're identical brothers.
Yeah.
What's our last name?
Lee.
Okay. Great. Okay. People call me General. But that's not my real name. That's the name I got on the inside.
I love this, how it's sort of every decision that you guys make, every decision that is made kind of tightens it. Yep. Now that I know that you two are brothers, if I served time with Ken's character, my character is most likely a man or man identifying as well.
Yeah.
So, cool.
Yep. Good point.
Jocko, which of us is the spiritual advisor and which is the truth seeker?
I would like to be the spiritual advisor, if you don't mind. Yeah.
So how about so it's sort of like we met through maybe like, oh wow, how did you get this inner peace, my brother, to my identical twin, and sort of was driven to you as the sort of guru he met in, or whatever truth. It doesn't have to be spiritual in that way.
My character, as far as I can tell right now, his name is Jerry Lee, but he goes by Jerry the General Lee, or General, some people call him. I think that he was in the military. I think that's part of it. And probably came back with PTSD and got in some bad trouble, and that's how he ended up in jail.
Great.
My guy is Freddie Geddy Lee. Yeah, people just call him that,
Right.
but he doesn't really listen to or know of the Canadian rock band.
Can you sing like it? Can Freddie sing like Geddy Lee?
No.
Okay, good.
How are we connected to this motor lodge? Would be another question.
Oh yeah, I assumed we all lived there.
Yeah. Do we live there? Do we work there?
I assumed that you two own it.
Okay.
Or have inherited it from your parents.
Okay. So maybe you were disowned for having gone into jail, but when you came out, our folks had passed. So I'm bringing you back in, and sort of the condition of that. Maybe we've also invited Barry to he lives in one of the rooms.
Well, Barry is would be a great caretaker.
Oh yeah. So we kind of hire him on,
and we just live there. So we all just live there,
Right.
and kind of work there.
Yeah, kind of work there.
Right.
I'm getting a real Trailer Park vibe, Trailer Park Boys vibe. If you're speaking of Canada,
Right. Yeah. And so my character is the amazing, magical, miraculous Barry.
Mysterious. Don't forget
Mysterious, who is a self-styled fortune teller.
Oh.
Who operates out of a
So like Miss Cleo, or you like
sort of
tarot
like
reading?
yeah, kind of operates out of room 7B.
Right.
Or I guess there wouldn't even
He's
be.
like a psychic. He's
Yeah.
like the
a
park psychic.
Yeah, and he's got a very gauzy room filled with silks and things, but it smells like really bad, like garbage and cigarettes and pot. Pot for sure.
Our need is to get the truth, right? About the cover up in Mana.
All right.
So I get the sense that we have some sort of conspiracy theory
Sure.
thing going, or one of us does,
Yeah.
or something maybe.
Well, why don't we throw our dice in
our
the
dice,
pool, and why don't we just get going and kind of see where this leads?
Yeah.
By scenes.
So here's a question: what year is it now?
Let's say it's the 90s.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah,
So
it's the
we're like
90s.
in our 40s, something like
yeah.
that.
Well, yeah, we're in our
Like
our
30s, late 30s, early
40s.
40s. Okay.
Great.
All
I was
right.
born in 1953. No, I don't know. You know what I mean?
And I was born in the same year.
Yeah, right.
Does that sound?
Because
Yes,
we're
so, yeah.
Yeah, I'll kick it off. So it's a Wednesday.
Yeah.
The Motor Lodge. It's like end of summer, so we had a busy season.
Yep.
Right.
We had like 2 people stay with us this season.
That was huge.
We covered our taxes.
Mm-hmm.
We're good. We've been rolling in beer.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm manning the desk. It's my shift, which mostly means like sitting there watching flies, watching the ceiling fan,
Right.
and staring at a photo that's framed right next to the door that it's yellowed in this frame of a basketball team.
Mm.
And, just kind of staring at like the one face that I know in that picture, which was our father.
From 1931.
We're Japanese or half Japanese.
Japanese.
And
Half.
I think, well, I flash back to the one time I asked him about this photo. And I'll let you play the father game.
Sure.
Lodge interior, the hotel reception desk, saying it looks exactly the same.
Right.
Like as when he ran it, that there's no difference. Like, in fact, the fly is flying in the same pattern near the ceiling fan.
Right.
And he's scolding me for not doing the books correctly on this thing. And I'm like just rolling my eyes, wondering when I can get out of here and go drink some more beers. I point over to the photo, just kind of bored. My eyes wander over there. And I'm like, whatever happened to those other guys?
And
How come we're the only like Japanese people in town?
And he looks over and he says, "No one wanted to stay here. Why would they?"
Well, why did you stay here? And do you ever talk to these guys?
No. We stayed because of the lodge.
Well, why do you even keep the picture?
It's important to remember that we were here and we won that year.
I'm like, well, again, why is there anyone like left? And we're talking like, this is probably we're saying he died in like the, say, 70s, like, or so this is like.
He died in the 80s.
Okay. So, but this is still like we're in our teens kind of at this point.
Yeah, that would make sense. If that would be the mid 60s.
So he's about to answer, and we hear a crash outside.
Okay.
Like squealing tires and a crash.
Right.
So now that's my scene. So
right.
You guys figure out.
I'm going to say that even though there's a crash outside, this ends well for you.
We hear this crash. It interrupts the train of thought, so I don't actually get the answer I want. But we go outside, and General Lee,
just Jerry at that point.
Jerry Lee, has crashed the family car into the one of the poles holding the sign for the motor lodge.
Great.
And our father just starts swearing in Japanese at him. Neither of us speak Japanese, so we're just like kind of like, you're laughing and you're obviously drunk.
Yep.
And we're like in our teens. You're getting berated. I do recognize when he points to me and is like basically saying I'm the good son.
Yeah.
And I kind of, I inflate my chest a little bit. Mm-hmm. So that's why it comes out good for me.
Yep.
Cool. Great.
I mean, you're the one who owns the lodge at the end of the day.
It's true. You didn't go to jail.
I'll bounce the die to you, even though it went bad for you and sort of in that scene, but it's still, I'll bounce the white die to you. It's still an advancement of our story.
Yep.
Right. I'm going to skip ahead.
Well, that was a flashback.
That was a flashback. Okay.
You can flashback within the flashback.
That's right.
I always saw a film that had a flashback within a flashback.
Okay, I'm going to start us off. The three of us are standing outside of this. We've each got a beer in our hands. There are no guests here, and we're standing outside of the tornado shelter. There's an old.
We're out back.
We're out back.
So no one's at the desk.
The pool is empty. We've drained it for the summer. It's like fall now, right? It's not chilly yet, but it's getting there.
There's some like muddy water with leaves in it at the very bottom of the pool.
Yep.
I have a banged up golf club that I'm using to hit rocks into the pool.
Yeah. We've each got a tall boy of Coors, and I am standing at the door to this thing with a crowbar. And I'm like, boys, I've had a vision. I had a vision last night. When's the last time you opened this?
Barry, how much you smoked last night?
It's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Oh, a lot though, bro.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. It's been at least.
I mean, there hasn't been a tornado around here in 30 years, 40 years.
Yeah, I mean,
look at this thing. It's rusted shut. I bet your dad stashed his cash in here.
I mean, I really look back at that lodge. It's a beaut.
It's a beaut. It's perfection.
Every dime we made went back into this baby.
I don't know.
Now pop it open. Who cares?
All right. And I'll sort of jam the crowbar in, set my beer down, and just lean in, and you hear a creak, and then clang, and the door swings open, and I'll end my scene there. And we can decide what we see, if it's good or bad for us.
I think it goes positively for you.
Okay. Great.
How does that manifest?
And so it goes positively because we pop this thing open, and inside there are about 9 cases of 30-year-old whiskey.
All right.
Yeah. And say, even better, boys.
Okay. Who are you bouncing the die to?
I'm going to bounce this to my good friend, Freddie.
Freddie Getty?
Freddie Getty.
Yeah, I'm thinking that I might now be known as, people call me Jenny.
Jenny
Lee.
Jenny and Getty.
Jenny. General, the Jenny.
Yep.
Sometimes. We're going to advance to later that night when we are blotto drunk off of this whiskey. We're getting wasted, and we've started a fire inside the pool. We were just throwing like wood and weird shit in there, and just like started this big bonfire inside the drained pool, the cement pool. No one's at the lodge. No one's checked in for the night. And we've just been basically tearing weird stuff off of different parts of the property to throw inside the pool.
Great.
And I come staggering back with the portrait from the office. And I sort of hold it up in my hands and I say, like, this'll burn really well, right? And I sort of look at Barry and I say, what do you think? Can you get anything off of this?
I put my hand to it, and just sort of my eyes roll back in my head.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So how does the scene end?
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. We'll say poorly.
Okay.
How does it
Yes. So it does end poorly for me. As you touch it, we're out back by the tornado shelter. It shatters in my hands, and I get cut with the glass. The frame just sort of breaks apart because you're touching it, but then as your eyes roll back, you sort of push against it and just shatter it, right? And so it breaks apart in my hands, and I sort of let it go. Does
Jenny think that that's because of magic or because it was pushed? How drunk are we?
We're drunk. We're drunk. But behind the photo is something else that flutters to the ground, and that is the end of the scene.
Cool.
My hands are bleeding.
As you guys were doing this magic trick, I had dragged like a crate that had some of the whiskey bottles into it. You know, it's just like a wooden box with some like shredded wood shavings or whatever they would encase the stuff in, and I've tossed it into our pool fire. And as you sort of are recognizing this thing, something starts popping, like exploding inside the fire.
Yeah.
We start hearing breaking glass and like ricochet sounds and
Ammunition is going
and
off.
we duck. We just hit the dirt. It dies down after a moment, and we look in there, and there's bullet holes that have riddled different areas of the pool. Like some trees have holes in. Like there's a old man who like lives in 14C. Pokes his head out. He's like, and shuts the door, and you see like this beautiful blonde behind him on the bed. We're just, we're like freaked out, and we go back into the.
Ben, were those gunshots? Sounded like gunshots.
Yeah.
And we go back into.
We go back into the hole, the
tornado shelter.
The tornado shelter, and we dig into more of these crates, and we see emblazoned with Japanese characters boxes of ammunition, and in one box there's some like helmets and a few swords, like military swords.
You're talking about samurai swords right now.
Yeah. We pull away the boxes, and we find a piece of wood on the ground underneath all the whiskey crates with like a ring in it.
This ends poorly for us.
All right.
For Getty specifically.
All right. So instead of the obvious like pull the ring and lift this thing, I stomp on it.
Yeah.
And fall through fall through this rotting wood into this spider hole and break my leg.
Yeah.
Great.
Who do you bounce the die to?
I'll bounce it to you, Jacques. You need some dye in your leg.
Yeah, I need some dye.
So I'm in the bottom of this black dirt pit.
Hole.
Great. So we're drunk.
You're picking it up there?
Yeah. We're in this ammunition stash in the back of our hotel.
Out back.
Yeah.
We found this ammunition stash.
And I look at you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we shouldn't have this stuff at all. We shouldn't be anywhere near this stuff. We should have stuck to the whiskey. I'm not going back. I know you don't want to go back.
I don't know. Jenny's eyes sort of are just as wide as saucers as he looks around. And as he's about to respond, his brother crashes through the ground. And he's
And you feel a slight twinge in your leg.
yeah. And he sort of looks over at that, and as he's rushing to the hole, he yells behind his shoulder, "This was our dad's stuff, so it's ours. What are you talking about? We own this."
And Barry's just sort of beginning to freak out. You know, he's maybe getting a little paranoid.
You can't charge us for things we own.
Whoa.
The mushrooms are kicking in.
Well, yeah, the mushrooms are kicking. Like, what? I don't know what kind of shit your dad was into, but I don't want anything to do with it. And he turns to leave, and the wind blows the storm door closed again, and it like smashes in a way, and it's all rusted and gnarled, and it smashes in a way that it's completely stuck, and we are shut into this tornado shelter.
Okay.
And there's like no way that like maybe it did that, like it knocked it, and it knocked like the crates that we had piled up that we were going to put into the thing have sort of wedged it closed, and it's wedged closed now.
And there's almost no light.
There's almost no light, and not only that, we hear the front bell ringing in the motel that somebody is here and they would like to stay. And
yeah, it's like this.
Yeah.
That just like plays out on a PA over the entire place.
All right.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna not end well
For Barry, good old Barry.
Yeah, I'm gonna bounce that back to you.
Okay.
And that doesn't end well because Barry's now freaking out. He's like, I gotta get out of here. He backs up to take a running. He's like, I'm just gonna ram it. He backs up to take a running start into the spider hole and right on top of Getty. Yeah. So he falls also into that broken pit.
Because it's so dark down here, he's trying to
he can't see a thing.
And I howl as my broken leg is
trip over me because I'm down on the ground now trying to look down on this hole, and you just trip right over my body
and fall in.
And you feel another twinge in your leg.
All right, I guess my scene. So we're going to pick it up right there, maybe a minute after. You guys are in the spider hole. I'm up top still.
Right.
And I sort of shout down, I shout down, Freddie, are you all right? Can you hear me?
My leg.
I'm fine, thank you.
Barry, you dumbass.
I foresaw this.
It's all right. Barry, thanks, man. Can you just use your healing touch or something?
Absolutely. And I just grab your leg. Give it a good squeeze.
Oh, it burns.
That's good. It should.
So we got to get you out of there. What's down there? Use your lighter. Spark it.
We just flick a lighter on?
Yeah.
All right. You can't really see much around. It's dirt hole. There's a iron rusted rung sort of ladder.
Yes.
And that leads down to where we are. It's maybe like a 8-foot drop or something. Right. Yep. And then extending into the darkness is this crouchable, probably 3-foot tall hole, this tunnel.
Crudely dug out of the earth tunnel. Yeah. Okay. I say, can you get back up here?
I'm going to need some help.
All right. I'll try. And that's where the scene will end. How does it end for us?
I'm going to push it and say that this also ends poorly for us.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to ride this wave.
So I'm going to go ahead and bounce that right over back to you, Jocko. Yes. And so it does end poorly in that Freddie Getty Lee is super messed up and can't. It's you basically need to get ropes tied around him to pull him up, or some sort of emergency crew to get him out of this hole. He is hurt and he is down there, and neither of us are strong enough to put him on our back and try and take him up these rungs of this ladder. I can't find any rope in the hole or in the tornado shelter anywhere. That's how it ends poorly. Is that I'm not able to get my brother up.
All right, and I think we're at the tilt.
Yeah.
And our tilt going into the second act will be tragedy, confusion followed by pain, and failure, something precious is on fire. So we're going to pause our tale right there, and we'll continue next week. In the meantime, let's walk through who our players were.
I'm Jocko Farino.
All right, Jocko, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Jocko Farino.
All right, and Ken?
And I'm Ken Breeze. You can find me on Twitter at Burlingsbeard, Berlings Beard, as well as my own website.
All right. You can find me, John, at Lord Joho on Twitter. To learn more about the players and the engine in our story, visit boardghost.com. You can attempt to pierce the veil and contact us at @BoardGhostWorld on Twitter. Shout through the ether if you have any desires we can fulfill. Leave reviews and comments on iTunes or your favorite listening portal. And next week, we'll continue with the Mana Hotel fiasco. I want to thank Pat Couples for providing the theme song and the interlude music for our show. You can find more of Pat's stuff on patcouples.tumblr.com and his bands on hotelsandhighways.com. If you're not alone in the void, share our stories. The more they are consumed, the truer they become.
If living is a highway, then heaven is a bus stop. Been waiting for a minute there, or has it been forever? 'Cause dying don't agree with me, no. Dying don't agree with me.